Okay, so for all of you out there that are sober curious, or maybe you just quit drinking, or maybe you've been sober a long time, if you do not finish this video, I truly feel sorry for you because I have been through the ringer with sobriety and I have a lot of knowledge to share with you right now that will help you with tons of problems that come up in early recovery. Quitting the drinking or using the drug is actually not the hardest thing that happens when you first start recovery. It's really kind of figuring out who in the heck you actually are. You know, it's like you don't know when you quit drinking who you are without the booze or the drug. Like your whole life has revolved around this party that you've essentially been having for all these years, the friends you have, the work you do, your lifestyle, it comes down to your food and the way you interact with your kids or even your pets for that matter. So when you quit, your whole life changed. And oftentimes we're going to find that friendships dissolve because your friendship was based around using the chemical. And not everybody's going to want to just quit using drugs and alcohol because you did. Your whole set of friends is not just going to all of a sudden stop going to bars because you did and decide they're going to do everything different with you. So you're going to have to realize that there's going to be a very new normal when you quit using drugs and alcohol. And that's something that you're going to have to learn to accept and be comfortable with. Now, how do we do that? How do we accept and be comfortable with a brand new normal when we've been living this way, this other way for so long? Now, how do we become used to this normal, boring life? Well, that's where recovery comes in. That's where the program of, say, Alcoholics Anonymous comes in. It helps you understand that this disease that you have is progressive. Like, this is not going to get any better. This is not going to recover itself and you quit drinking for 6 months and then you're recharged and you can go back at it and start over. That's not how this works. When you quit, you are continuing to be an alcoholic or an addict. It never stops. That's why they call it a progressive disease. So really, the sooner you can stop if you do have a problem, the better off you're going to be. Now, back to the life that you're going to have and change. A lot of your friends are going to fall away. You're not going to have the same friendships. You may even have a relationship romantically that you are in that will crumble because of you deciding that you're going to change your lifestyle. And it crumbles because you got to stick with it. And if you don't stick with it, then you're likely to end up in trouble with the law, which costs money. If you have a DUI, it's legal issues and also health complications. I mean, for that matter, you could lose your freedom. You could do something terrible and end up in prison. So you have to go back and you have to say to yourself, well, my life is going to change. When you quit using drugs and alcohol, my life is going to change drastically. I may not have the same circle of friends. Not all of them are going to accept this new you. And you're also going to find that your commonalities are not the same anymore. You don't have the same common interests because the common interests were, what are we going to do Friday night? Where are we headed? Where are we drinking? Where's the after party? And then the next day, what are we doing? Are we going to go hike it off and then try to like get some sweat going and start the party again in the afternoon and take it through to Sunday? That's not going to happen anymore. Those people are not going to want to hang out with you sober. And the same thing is going to happen potentially with a romantic partner. They could be so attached to that booze or that drug that there's no way that they're going to choose you. Alcohol and drugs are a very, very powerful chemical. But good for you. If you decide to quit, I can tell you that there's a lot of value in this. Yes, you have to start over. Yes, you're going to have to learn to have patience and embrace what we're going to call the unknown. You're a brand new person. You're going to be like a teenager starting over and trying to figure out life without using the chemical that you went to when you were whatever age, 15, 16, 21. I was like 14 years old when I first started drinking, so I pretty much stopped emotionally growing at that point. And that's for another video to get into the emotional sobriety part of it. This is early sobriety and what you're going to go through. Friends are going to drop off. Family members are going to think you're weird. You're going to become totally different. And if those family members are used to drinking with you or being in, the backyard barbecue setting where they're all drinking beer and watching sports, it's going to be tough because you are going to be hazed. They're going to want you to just continue to do the same behavior. And you may have to take a step away from your family in order to survive. You're going to have to step away and you're going to have to say, what's more important, my well-being and my sobriety or these people? Now, what happens is you become lonely. What happens when you become lonely? What do you do to fight the loneliness? You're going to have to become a part of a program. You're going to have to go to meetings, go to AA, go and be with the people who are like you. That is a great tool to use, and it is so often underutilized. When I first went to AA 20 years ago, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't really care. I just kind of wanted to go to get it over with and then go back and tell the person that I was with, I went. I had some kind of big bender that I went on and, made a mess of life for a weekend, and of course, people can't handle that, so I had to go to AA. Well, I just used it as a tool to get them off my back, knowing that I was never really intending to stop or get emotionally sober. So you want to go to AA and you want to actually take it seriously, meet the people there, say hello, introduce yourself, and make friends with people who are trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve, with goals that are like yours. Really hard to keep your friends when their goals don't align with anything that you want to achieve. So when your goals don't line up, you can't effectively have a relationship because the fun is not going to be there. The fun is gone. And so we need to reassess the people that we're hanging out with, and the best place to find those people that are going to be new friends to you is going to be in a program. People who are looking to be sober. And even there you can meet some people who are a little undesirable. So you have to be a little bit careful there too. But at least you know you're going to a place where everyone has a desire to stop drinking versus maybe old friends who, still want to get you back in and say, come on, man, just go out one time, just one time. Well, all it takes is one time, and then you start over again. And that's not what you want. So you really do need to review those 12 steps often and make sure that you know that you're working a program and stay connected to it. Now, activities are great. They're great. You want to go out and start working out. You want to get physical. You want to press your body and push your body physically because that will provide that endorphin rush. That is the dopamine that you need. You need to get that moving. It saved me in early recovery. I needed the outlet of weightlifting in order to push myself to a different level of mental clarity. The mental clarity was really shrouded. It was difficult to get to, and the only thing that really took me into a place where I could calm down and calm my mind was to wreck my body, and it worked. So highly recommend weightlifting if you're going to try and quit drinking and be in early sobriety. Another thing that's interesting is dating. Dating is difficult in early sobriety. You really don't want to try to get involved with someone in early sobriety. And there's a reason why. We just stated it earlier in the video. You're changing. You are becoming a completely different person. You don't even know who this person is. So what you want to do is you want to get to know that person. You want to fall in love with that person and understand who that person is and take care of that person that you're becoming. You're emotionally evolving, and you're going to become much more intelligent, emotional, affectionate, understanding, patient, and loving person the more sober you become. Because you're going to work through a lot of those problems that you had when you started drinking. You started drinking for a reason. You started drinking to mask some form of pain, something that happened in your childhood, something that was ongoing, and it works. It works for a period of time, but it's just a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem. And the drinking is just a symptom of that. So you're gonna want to take care of that person and not enter a relationship, because if you enter a relationship with someone and you start getting intimate, that opens up a lot of emotional doorways to potential relapse, which is why they call it, and we call it in recovery, a slippery slope. It's a very slippery place to be, is in a relationship early in recovery. You've already got enough emotions you're trying to figure out, that you're trying to get under control. I'm this guy that just quit drinking after 13 years. I'm coming off of a divorce, and this is just me, for example. And there's 1,000 different dating apps, and here I am swiping left and right. Well, what the hell do I have to offer someone? A bunch of emotional baggage and some tense, talks about AA meetings that I'm in? It doesn't work. And if you do meet somebody in the program and you start dating, which you'll hear in recovery all the time, especially in the sober homes, there's all this illicit activity that goes on. And it's because it's so easy to try to replace the chemical with another addiction almost instantly. And that comes in the form of dating, sex, porn, shopping, you name it. There's so many things that you can jump into and become addicted to almost instantaneously. And you don't want to, because you want to get really emotionally sober. And in order to do that, you have to clear the slate. You have to get rid of these addictions. The best way to do this is to go to a program, to work the 12 steps, and to understand that you are worth that time and energy, that you have become under the control of a substance, and that your life is unmanageable, and that you're going to need to turn this over to a higher power that is bigger than you. And you'll get that when you get to the program and you start going through it. You'll understand that this is bigger than you, and you're going to need some help. And so as I say these things, remember, I've lived this. I'm not just saying these things because I think it's the right thing you should do. I have lived this for 20 years of my life, gotten sober without the help of anyone, and it was miserable. I was white knuckling the entire thing, which means I was just stressed out and I wanted to drink so badly. I just used sheer willpower to not use and to not drink, and my life was miserable for 13 years. And when I finally did drink again, well, I felt great for a while until everything fell apart. And when it fell apart quickly, and it fell apart really terribly. And I learned that I needed to really figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And when I did, and I took the time to do the steps and work the program, I started to have serenity. And through leveling out my expectations, what I expect out of life, what I expect out of people, what I expect out of myself, I started to have serenity in my life. And that's what we really want. You want to be able to look at your life someday down the line because of sobriety and say, I'm okay, I'm good, I feel well, I'm happy with my life, I'm happy with the people I've chosen to live my life with. I'm gonna be very routine because that is part of recovery. Without routine, we do fall apart. But there's a comfort in the routine, and there's a comfort in not having expectations. I highly recommend it. And I highly recommend those of you in early recovery understanding that there's gonna be boredom. It's not gonna be fun. I highly recommend that you understand that you should not enter into a relationship when you are in early recovery. You need to understand that your family members will be looking at you differently. People are gonna look at you differently. Your friends may fall away. Know that, understand that, accept it, and don't expect anything of those people. That is the best advice. And get into an activity. You've got to be a part of the program, but activities are great. Any kind of exercise or anything you can do to fill that need for stimulation in a positive way, such as bodybuilding, biking, running, walking, hiking, whatever it may be, kayaking, doesn't matter. As long as it gets you moving and away from that chemical. And learning in the program to turn your will and your life over to something bigger than you, because when we're addicts, we always think that we're the biggest thing in the world. We have these giant egos, but no self-esteem. And as that reverses and the ego becomes humility and the self-esteem overtakes the ego, you have serenity because you're no longer needing to expect something from other people to make you feel better. That's my advice.